Hey everyone, it is Andre again from the East Village Times and the SDSU Football Podcast. This week's breakdown is going to look at, unfortunately, where things went wrong in the shocking loss against Fresno State on Saturday that saw the Aztecs blow an 18-point lead with less than a minute left in the third quarter. A lot of questions, comments, opinions out there about the coaching decisions in the second half, particularly conservative play calling on offense and defense, that basically the loss was blamed on. I want to go through the second half a little bit, highlight some key plays and decisions. I will obviously give you my thoughts, but you can make your own conclusions from it, obviously. So let's get to it. The Aztecs were up 21-10 at halftime, received the opening kickoff of the second half. While there may have been issues with the offensive game plan in the fourth quarter, we will get to that later. I think the offense in the third quarter was actually very good and continued where it left off from the first half in terms of moving the ball and scoring points. The first drive moved into Fresno State territory after 2 first downs, but Jalen Maiden threw his first interception of the season on a first down play action pass from the Florida State 34. So they had gotten a couple first downs and they were on the Florida State 34. At worst, it could have had a field goal, could have had more. It was a bad decision on Maiden's part. He tried to throw the ball away after getting pressure in his face from an open rusher, but he wasn't able to get the ball all the way out of bounds, and the corner, Cam Lockridge, was able to get to it before he stepped out of bounds. There are 2 plays on this drive that I want to highlight for you guys because I think it plays a role into my thoughts on a later play in the fourth quarter. Both of these plays I'm going to show you are short yardage plays on this drive that they converted for first downs. And as you'll notice, here's the first play. It's 3rd and 2 from the San Diego State 26-yard line. As you can see, one of the things Jeff Horton has brought back to the San Diego State playbook is I formation. San Diego State hasn't really used a fullback since they moved to the spread. Martin Blake is number 35 here. He's a walk-on running back, but he kind of been playing the de facto fullback over the last couple of weeks, sparingly. They haven't done it a lot, but he has been playing that role, and here he is here. Chance Bell, actually Jordan Bird is lined up behind him. It's a 3rd and 2. Look, and here's a play that they end up running to get a first down. It's a play action, and Blake comes out of the backfield and runs past the defenders. I don't think any of the defenders expected him to actually go out and catch a pass. They expected him to probably try to block a linebacker or a safety, Reginan. And he makes this play, and they get about a 30-yard connection for a big first down. Here, the replay will show you a little bit better from the end zone angle. But I think that I formation can be and will be a critical play. So here you go. You can see the play action. Blake comes out, and nobody picks him up. The linebackers, the safeties, they all let him go. As Petros pointed out, there was a kind of blatant hold by Jay Rudolph on the edge rusher here. That was not called. But, there's missed calls on almost every play, especially with holding. So that's just one right there. But that was a big play. First down, I formation. The next play is on that next set of downs. That next set of downs, the Aztecs were stopped, and they got to a 4th and 1 from the Fresno State 36-yard line. So they just converted a 3rd and 2 by I formation and running it. They ran a 3rd and 1, didn't get it, and now they're at 4th and 1. And look what they do. They go back to that I formation run. This time it's Chance Bell in the backfield, but you have Martin Blake as the fullback. And the Fresno State defense just saw this formation and saw Martin Blake catch a 30-yard pass. And this time around, the Aztecs actually hand off to the Bell and use Blake as a blocker. There's not a big opening up front, but Bell does a good job of using his blockers, pushing forward and getting the first down. So there's 2 short yardage plays, a 3rd and 2 and a 4th and 1, where they went I formation and they picked up first downs either by the pass or the run. And I think those were great coaching decisions and something that they may have needed to go back to later in the game. Obviously, the next play after this 4th down run was the interception that made it through. Their second drive, when they got the ball back after a Noah Avenger interception, they started it with a pass, a 6-yard pass to Shavers, and then they had 2 runs for 0 yards to Keenan Kristen. That 3rd and 4 run to Kristen, watching it live, I was pretty surprised by that call. I did think that was an actual conservative play call, considering that they had been moving the ball fairly well with the pass. The fact that they ran the fake punt on the next play with Browning for 33 yards, it makes me wonder whether they knew they were going to do the fake punt, and that's why they decided to run the ball, because they knew even if they only picked up a couple yards that they were going to do a fake punt, and they were pretty confident in that fake punt. That would be unusual to base a play call on 3rd down based on knowing that you're going to do a fake punt, but you never know. I mean, the Aztecs have run fake punts and fake field goals over the last 2 years. But for how conservative the 3rd and 4th run was, it's complete opposite. Doing a fake punt on your own 26, especially when you're up 11 points in the 3rd quarter, is fairly aggressive. That is not playing to lose. It is playing to win the game. And credit to Coach Hoke and Coach Deacon for calling it and executing it. But in my opinion, that is playing to win the game. It's being aggressive. And I applaud that play call in that circumstance. After the fake punt, they ran the ball 3 times and they got 21 yards out of it, a 5, a 10, and a 6. I think given how the offensive line has struggled run blocking all season, but especially over the last several weeks, it was probably the best drive and the best series of drives, series of plays that the offensive line had run blocked, getting 21 yards on 3 successive plays, especially when they're knocking at the door in Fresno and they're getting into the red zone and the space is kind of more constricted. Obviously, that drive was capped off by a touchdown, a 7-yard pass to Jesse Matthews. One thing to note is that Jarrett Reeser kicked the extra point and the ensuing kickoff because it looked like Jack Browning had injured his left or right knee at the end of that fake punt when he kind of went into contact and got flipped with a low tackle. That's also something to keep in mind, because on the play, on a particular decision in the 4th quarter, that may have played a part. So just to kind of recap these 2 drives in the 3rd quarter, they ran it 11 times to 4 passes, but a lot of that was because they got such big gains on first downs runs with 8, 7, 6 yards. So when you're in 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3, you're more inclined to run the ball, try to get a couple yards and get another set of downs. And I just think that was a product of, how well they had first down plays. I don't think any Aztec fan can complain about the team moving the ball down the field into scoring position, whether it's by the run or the pass. As long as it gets touchdowns, it scores points. And, without that interception on the first drive, they likely would have gotten 3 and potentially 7 on that drive. So at least for the 3rd quarter, I think the offensive game plan was still great and it was successful. barring one bad play, one bad decision by the quarterback. So where did things start to go wrong? The Aztecs, after that touchdown to Matthews, they're up 28-10. Fresno State got the ball, drove down the field, but a holding penalty and a sack from Garrett Fountain on third down, forced Fresno State into a 4th and 28 from the San Diego State 44 at the punt with, as you can see here, about 50 seconds left. I think it was about 46 seconds when they actually got the kick or the snap. And as you'll see here, Jesse Matthews, who's the backup punt returner to Jordan Byrd, it was back deep here. And everybody could admit that Jesse Matthews, while he's not as good of a punt returner as Jordan Byrd is, he probably has the best hands on the team. And and Jordan Byrd in the past, not this year, has had some fumble issues on punts. So I don't have an issue with Jordan Byrd, with Jesse Matthews being the punt returner, especially in a spot where it's a fair catch spot. You're not going to return a punt at this part of the field. One thing to note, though, is that Jordan Byrd did not return the kickoff at the start of the 4th quarter and did not come back into the game on offense. The only time I believe he was back on the field was on the onside kick recovery, on the onside kick defense. And he was the guy back deep. So I don't know whether there was an injury for Jordan Byrd not being out there either on offense, kickoffs, or even punt return. So something I will be looking to ask Coach Hoke at the Tuesday press conference. But either way, I don't have an issue with Jesse Matthews being out there because he has been out there returning punts a few times this year. And, Jordan Byrd does so much, starting running back, kickoff returner, punt returner, that, sometimes he needs a play off, and Jesse Matthews being so sure-handed fits that role well. So here's the punt. It's a high snap, actually a pretty good catch by the punter, but as you'll see here, he calls a fair catch. He's at about the 7 or 8 yard line. It's hard to tell from this angle whether he's closer to the 8 or the 7. And you can see here, you got one gunner that's about to get him and pass him. You've got another gunner here, and then you've got, 4 other guys. So there's obviously no chance to return this. So you're either going to fair catch it, or you're going to let the ball go, get out of the way, and hope the ball ends up into the end zone for a touchback. In this scenario, I think Jesse accurately decides that, hey, the ball is at the 7 or the 8. These guys, it's a high short kick. These guys are all coming, and if I let this ball go, unless it takes like a quick long bounce into the end zone, it's going to be down inside the 5. I think I'm no special teams. I'm not well versed in special teams strategies and rules and things like that. So if there's anyone out there that is, and you want to chime in, feel free to do so. But I believe punt returners are usually said in this kind of scenario with a high short kick from the plus 50 yard line, that unless the ball is going to be inside the 5, that to catch it and fair catch it, obviously, to not give the kicking team the opportunity to down it inside the 5 with a bounce or two. So that being said, I think it was a smart call to fair catch it. But as you can see, it does not work out. I don't know what happened here. Only Jesse Matthews can tell us. But just with it does not look like his footwork or his fundamentals, based on the fact that he ends up falling backwards on his butt, trying to make the catch. I don't know if that's how it's taught. I don't know if the ball had some unusual spin as it was coming down that made it a lot more tricky. As I said, only Jesse knows this, but it was obviously not a well executed fair catch attempt. But this is kind of where things went wrong temporarily. because even though Fresno State scored a touchdown, a couple plays later on the last play of the third quarter, the Aztecs are still up 11 and still get the ball and still have plenty of opportunities to put the game away. And at least for most of the fourth quarter, as you will see, the score kept the same. They got turnovers. Fresno State got turnovers. And for most of the fourth quarter, it was a battle of which team, is going to screw up more. So here we are in the fourth quarter. This is the Aztecs' first drive of the fourth quarter. They moved the ball down to the Fresno State territory, and they ran the first 6 plays they ran on this drive, 3 passes and 3 runs. So they were obviously 50-50 in terms of how many plays they ran passing and running. So they got a 3rd and 10 here. From the Fresno State 38-yard line. And here they run a wide receiver screen to Mekhi Shaw. I thought it was a brilliant play call, given how Fresno State was rushing, selling out for the run, rushing for trying to go after Maiden. Great play call. I haven't seen this particular wide receiver screen, I don't know, at all year. Or maybe they ran it and it was not completed. Unfortunately, Shaw gets stopped just a yard short of first down marker. So it brings up a 4th and 1 from the 29-yard line. So here is the coaching decisions that I think can be kind of scrutinized here. So you've got a 4th and 1 from the 29. You've got a 46-yard field goal that can make it a 14-point game. So at worst, 2 touchdowns only tie the game. But as we mentioned earlier, look, Jack Browning got hurt on the fake punt, didn't kick off, and didn't kick the extra point. So another question for Coach Hoke is, was Jack Browning available to kick a 46-yard field goal on this play? If so, if he wasn't, would you have kicked the field goal? And if he was available, the rationale for going for it? If you do decide to go for it, I believe getting in shotgun and handing the ball off to Keenan Kristen or to Chance Bell, who had not been in the drive at all, was not the right move. If you recall earlier in this breakdown, I showed you those 2 short 3rd and 4th down short yardage plays where they went I formation with Martin Blake as a fullback. The first time they threw a play action pass to Blake for a big gain. The second time, Blake became the blocker for Chance Bell to get the first down. This would have been a perfect opportunity to get back into I formation and this time hand the ball to Martin Blake. All you need is 1 yard. He's closer to the line of scrimmage, being lined up as a fullback. In the previous 2 plays, he wasn't, handed off. I think it would have been a perfect spot. If you're not going to kick the field goal and take a 14-point lead, obviously there's no sure thing that you're going to make the field goal with Jack Browning healthy or not, but Browning has been pretty solid this year. But this would have been a perfect opportunity to put Martin Blake in that I formation and hand him the ball, or run another play action and have Jalen Maiden roll out and either run for a yard or have kind of a tight end or a wide receiver kind of running a short drag to the left side. That being said, you guys obviously know what happened here. Chance Bell doesn't have a chance, not blocked well up front at all. And he was actually lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage because that play just was not well designed, not well called, and not well executed at all. And then Chance Bell also looked like he may have re-injured his elbow potentially with the tackle here. So yeah, this really, if you want to go back to coaching decisions, I would point back to this play being a critical juncture. It didn't necessarily give Fresno State. It did give Fresno State the momentum. Obviously, the San Diego State defense took it right back, stopping them and getting another interception into the end zone. But I think it was just another moment in this game where San Diego State failed to capitalize and put the game away. So Fresno State gets the ball back after the fourth down stop with 11 minutes and 6 seconds left on the clock. Here is a 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line for Fresno State going into the red zone with 6:22 left. So about 5 minutes of game clock went off. This is the 9th play of the drive. Every play was in shotgun except for one. That was a short yardage run. And they did 0 personnel, meaning they had empty set with 5 wide receivers, which really spread out the secondary for San Diego State. And as you'll notice here, Michael Shawcroft, on 3 different plays on this drive, Kurt Maddox actually put Michael Shawcroft as the deep safety on these plays while having the 3 actual safeties by position lining up against the three slot receivers, I guess you want to say. So they had 5 of the safeties lined up man on man to the 5 receivers and then Michael Shawcroft. As you can see here, this was an interception from Patrick McMorris, but Garrett Fountain actually tips this ball. And that's why it was underthrown to Patrick McMorris. I didn't actually see this live, and I don't think the announcers did either, but listening to Jake Hayner's post-game press conference, he mentioned that the ball was tipped. And then, Garrett Fountain, as you can see the replay, Garrett Fountain is using the tip symbol or hand gesture. So it's pretty clear that Garrett Fountain did tip that ball. One thing to note, even though they used 5 minutes off the clock and didn't score, which is a bonus for a team that's up 11, that was a very tiring drive for the defense. 9 plays, mostly all in shotgun, spread out, all deep, all passes. The defense was tired. You could tell some of the guys on the defensive line were huffing and puffing in between plays, some of the linebackers. So even though they did not give up any points, I think this factors into the next drive because that fatigue was setting in because of so many plays that the Fresno State offense was running in relation to what San Diego State's offense ran, at least towards the end after this drive. And so that definitely played a part in fatigue and potentially some of the substitutions on the next defensive drive. So 6 minutes left in the game. The Aztecs are up 11. Fresno State has all 3 timeouts left. Just like that 4th and 1 opportunity in Fresno State territory, not converting was a golden missed opportunity to put this game away. This drive has to be even more frustrating with how the 3 plays came apart. As you can see here, it's a 1st down and 10 from the 20. Keenan Kristen is in the game, and he gets the first run. They run it to him, and he gets a loss of 3. As you'll notice here, Josh Simmons, this drive will not be put in the offensive line blocking museum for great offensive line play. Immediately here, you can see Josh Simmons gets beat right off of the ball by Payne, and Kristen has no chance and gets brought down for a 3-yard loss. Just a poorly executed play, and this is something that potentially the coaching staff, offensive coaching staff, has to be looking back at and thinking this could have been an opportunity to use Maiden more, throwing the ball, rolling out, finding receivers short, because obviously this drive was a big reason why the rest of this game ended up how it did. Here's a second down. They go into shotgun, Kristen again, and Payne beats Ross Ulugalu-Masuli pretty badly off the snap. I don't know if Ulugalu-Masuli lost his footing, but he pretty much had no chance. And Kristen again loses two but before he's even had a chance to survey, he's got someone in his face. So Fresno State uses its first timeout. So they've got 2 timeouts left. I'm going to freeze it here. You're looking at a 3rd and 15 from your 15-yard line. You just ran it twice. The offensive line is getting kind of whipped on this drive, at least in the run game. In this case, this is the perfect opportunity to just run another draw, hand it off. You're not going to get a first down. You might get a few yards because the defense with a 3rd and 15 has pushed back to not give up a 15-yard pass. Maybe you can get 5, 6, 7 yards, give your punters some more room to throw the ball. Maybe you decide to run a keeper with Jalen Maiden, see if he can find a hole. Maybe you throw a screen to a back or a wide receiver to pick up a few yards, and maybe you can get a defender, a missed tackle, or a defender slipping. A lot of options here to still play it safe, still make sure that you don't throw an incomplete pass that stops the clock, because Fresno already used a timeout on 2nd down. You know if the clock is running, they're going to use another timeout. This was just a recipe. It was asking for disaster by calling a deep pass play here. And as you can see, the 3rd different offensive lineman on this drive that gets beaten pretty badly is Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon here. David Perales beats him over the edge, comes back around and strips the ball. BCD had a chance to jump on that ball, and I don't know necessarily what happened, but he ended up kind of scooping the ball forward and into the hands of Fresno State. So this is a bad drive if you're talking offensive play calling, if you're talking execution from the offensive line. It was just a bad drive. I think the blame can go many ways here. Maiden also kind of has to understand where the defender is, because he's left-handed, so that's not his blind side. And so he needs to know. I know he stepped up and Perales kind of went behind him, but that's something he needs to realize as well as a quarterback, that you got to get the ball out at this case. And it didn't happen. And, it was just another missed opportunity that somehow the defense forced a 3 and out. You see here, Fresno State got the ball at the 10-yard line with 5:15 left. And the defense held them to a 3 and out, and Sedarius Barfield blocked the field goal to keep it 28-17. Despite all of these missed opportunities and these turnovers back and forth, the score, nobody had scored yet in the 4th quarter with less than 5 minutes left. So San Diego State still had to be feeling pretty good in this case, getting the ball back with 4:53 left in the game, up 11. Fresno State only has 2 timeouts left. At this point, regardless of what you can say about the play calling and the execution in the 4th quarter, this game is still fully in the hands of San Diego State to finish off.